Hey everyone, I'm Andy Cunningham with Lynxspring, and on today's tech tip, we're going to talk a little bit about PuTTY and the serial shell. So if you've spent much time in the HVAC controls industry, you've probably had to connect to a controller through PuTTY, and if you haven't yet, your time is coming. So we'll go over how to know what COM port that you're connected to, how to identify things like baud rate, and just a few little tips and tricks. So if you find this content useful, do us a favor, go ahead and subscribe, give us a like, and maybe even share it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, or reach out to me directly. You can find me on LinkedIn. Let's get started. So on the desk in front of me, I have two different controllers, and we'll go through how to log into them one by one. The first one is the Genesis Jace 8000, and you can see I already have it powered up, and I have my USB cable plugged into the debug port. So first things first, we need to know what COM port to use. You'll hit the Windows and the X key, come over to Device Manager. It's going to give you this window. You'll look under Ports, you'll expand it. Usually it's the one at the bottom. You can see that it's serial port COM14. So if you wanted to double check, you can unplug. Notice that the screen refreshes, COM14 is gone. Plug it back in, and now COM14 is here again. If you double click on this, go to port settings, you'll see some things for bits per second, data bits, parity, stop bits, and flow control. I'll show you where these come into play, and PuTTY actually takes care of it for you, but you might need to know about it here in Device Manager as well, depending on what you're connecting to. And this will be pretty universal for any controller from any manufacturer that's using a serial to USB type connection. You'll come in here and you'll use Device Manager in order to determine what COM port you have. Let's switch over to PuTTY. So we have PuTTY open, and we need to know what to set this thing to in order to connect to our controller. Just so happens, if you look in the Jace 8000 startup guide, page 55 of 60, it tells you right here. Serial rate is 115/200, 8N, and 1. So we can set PuTTY to serial. Remember COM14. Our speed is 115200, and we'll hit open. So when the first window opens, it looks like it didn't do anything. But if you press the enter key, it presents us with the login prompt. And this is a factory reset Jace. So I'll do the typical Tritium Niagara. We'll hit enter, and it gives us some information about this controller, and we can go through here and we can determine what its IP address is. We can make changes such as update the system time or make any other changes that we need to make. One other thing to note is that it does give us the build version of 4.1.27. So that's how you would connect to serial shell for your Jace 8000. So there we go, everybody. There's a couple of tips and tricks on how to identify the COM port that you need, how to connect to different devices with PuTTY, and we hope that you found it useful. If you've got any ideas or things to add or something that we missed, please let us know in the comments, or if you've got any suggestions on things you'd like to see in the future, we'd love to hear about that as well. Thanks for watching.